In my senior year at Berkeley, I filled out 300 job applications in 3 months, and I got ghosted by 253 of them. 4 weeks before graduation, I still didn't have an offer, and I was filling out a form to drop out. It's been 12 years. My life looks a little different on paper, but I still remember exactly what that felt like. And lately, parts of it have come back. Hello, this is Eugene. I'm a management consultant based in Boston. This video was inspired by a comment left by someone who's in the middle of job searching and who feels like they're running out of time, energy, and hope. So today we'll talk about three things. First, what happened to me in 2014 as a senior in college, then in 2025, and finally, how I protected my mental health even when the outcomes were completely out of my control. In 2013, I was a summer intern in San Francisco, and I was the only one in my class who didn't get a return offer. I walked out of the meeting with the hiring manager and HR feeling stunned and disappointed. So I replayed every single conversation in my head and thought, what could I have done differently? Still, I told myself, Eugene, you have a year ahead of you. You're going to figure this out. Then the year passed. I interviewed through fall and nothing converted. By about 3 weeks before graduation, I still had no offer, no visa plan, just a lot of anxiety and growing sense of what if this is it? I went back to San Francisco and met up with some people during my internship just to catch up. And one person said, I know a friend who might be looking. Send me your resume right now. The next day, I interviewed, and the following Monday, I got an offer to start that summer. I want to be clear. I worked hard, I prepared, and I also got lucky. I had a mentor who happened to be hiring. This person remembered me fondly and chose to help. Without that, I might have gone months without a job and probably would have gone back home to Korea. That wouldn't have been a failure, but it would have been very different from the life I want to build. And during that time, I remember I was struggling with sleep. I was reading just obsessively books, articles, and anything that had the word self help and that would somehow fix me. I knew my name, my accents, and my background probably made me stand out. I worked hard not just to change my stories, but how other people perceived me, and most importantly, how I saw myself. I need to go to bed, so I'll continue tomorrow. Now, let's fast forward to 2025. I have 8 years of consulting experience. I know what I'm good at and where I need help. And I've learned over the years on how to connect with people. And still, auto rejection emails, ghosting, even with referrals. And the hardest rejections were the ones that I got after meeting people face to face, going through the interviews, and still getting a no. In 2014, I was desperate. And the question was, am I good enough? But in 2025, the question inside my head has shifted. It became, did I already peak? Maybe I'm only good at one thing in a very specific environment. I stopped counting rejections and just went through the motion because it felt blank. One Tuesday morning, I woke up with 3 rejection emails. And these were companies I spent time to interview with. I made my matcha latte at home, opened my laptop at 8 a.m., Control R to refresh the job posting page I had the night before, and I just stared. I stared for a full hour. I couldn't get myself the courage, the care to click and submit another application. And that's when I knew this isn't just stress anymore. This is apathy. And it's dangerous because I'm still functioning on the outside, but inside I'm so dead and completely checked out. At one point, I wrote in my family group chat, doesn't matter anymore. My head hurts and I'd rather not talk about it. I felt like I was going back into my 22-year-old self, but this time around, just with more responsibilities and more to lose. And the scary part was, it wasn't just in my head. It was happening outside in this job market. Things have obviously changed. In 2014, a human read my resume. They might have rejected me, but at least someone saw it. Now we're filtered by the algorithm before any human lays eye on my resume. You can be qualified and actually never make the cuts because you're not using the right keywords. There is no feedback loop, no way to improve, and it just feels like a black hole sucking everything in. The companies posting ghost jobs, they're wasting your time. The AI screening and filtering you out, that's just being lazy. And the 6th round interview process that ends up in ghosting, that's very disrespectful. And somehow we've been convinced that there's something wrong with us, that if we just optimize a resume one more time, maybe it will work. But the system's broken and your feelings are the correct response. So knowing all this, that the market is objectively brutal, then what actually helps? Before I share what actually helped, I admit not getting an offer for me wasn't the end of the world. I have a US degree, I have 8 years of experience, and I don't have a family of my own to feed or a large medical bill. These are real privileges, but privilege doesn't make it any easier for you to find a job in this market. It's January 2026. The uncertainty absolutely sucks. I get it. And here's how we will survive. So the comment asks for 2 things: how to navigate uncertainty while upskilling, and how to fight apathy. Here's what I tried that actually helped me okay enough to keep going. So think of this as a menu, not a prescription. I'll start from the second half of the question first. First, I had to understand what I am actually going through. It's not being lazy, it's not giving up, it's your brain trying to protect you. When you keep trying and keep getting hurt, then your brain switches on, okay, I'm going to stop letting you care so that you stop getting hurt. So think of this as a stair on the apathy scale. Level 1 is when you feel anxious. You're checking your inbox every 30 minutes. Just panic, mass applying, or even AI generator applying. You can't sleep. You still care deeply and anxiety is high. Level 2 is feeling numb. You go through motions of applying. You stop counting applications and rejections and you feel kind of blank. Apathy is setting in, and this is where I was most of 2025. Level 3 is when you've completely checked out. You can't even make yourself apply anymore. You're questioning everything, the system, the society. There's deep apathy, fatigue, and the need to rest. So knowing where you are helps you understand what you need. What helped me at each stage was level 1, boundaries, level 2, structure, level 3, sleep and rest. So here's what I did to bring structure into my life last year. Last year wasn't a let's try to be productive kind of a year. It was more of let me just try to survive. So this was my bare minimum list for the bad days. Start the day with a 15-minute matcha walk, no music, no podcast, no news during my walks, and then 1 call that was not about job searching, shower before bed, and 1 voice memo about my thought process that day. Some days, this list of 4 things was the only win that I had, and I had to remind myself that that's enough. You're not going to try to do everything. I also tracked engagement, not outcomes. And what I mean by that is I stopped counting applications, interviews, and rejections. That's not going to make me feel any better. And I started noticing more on days I showed up even when I didn't want to, conversations where I learned something, and moments of itch I felt in my brain. I was like, wow, I want to learn more. And identifying what those moments were. These small wins helped. I also found 1 person who wasn't trying to fix me. This wasn't a motivational friend, it was more like a witness. I would text a friend, this sucks. And she would text me back, yeah, same, but we're still going through this. And that's validation. That someone sees you still trying, and it helped. Also remember what you can control. For instance, how I stay engaged. The last thing I wanted to do was be in bed all day on the weekends with my lights off, because I've definitely done that before. You can control how much effort you put in, the quality of your work, and how you spend your time. You don't control who responds, who hires, then who decides, and the market conditions. Effort still matters regardless because it's one of the few things you can control in your life. For upskilling, you can't completely get rid of uncertainty. You can create pockets of certainty though. So I would learn in buckets, in depth, breadth, and proof. The easiest thing you can start with is choosing depth. Pick 1 category or 1 topic that you're genuinely interested in, and it doesn't have to be something that's really hot. What's a topic that makes you feel like a kid again, excited, eager to learn? Go deeper into that. It acts as a catalyst to help you continue learning. You never want to lose the enjoyment and the fun that you get from the learning process. Now, bucket 2 is once you have 1 depth, let's go for breadth. Find 1 complementary skill that makes you interesting. And you don't have to necessarily master it, but just to have a conversation and connect with someone. So for instance, think of this as a formula of your major plus the skill makes you memorable and sparkle. For example, I like to talk about the fact that I got yoga teacher and Pilates teacher certified many years ago so that I can teach myself and also teach my team at work. Now, bucket 3 is having a proof, whether it's an online course certificate or creating something in public, blog posts, GitHub, and even LinkedIn posts. I've seen a lot of my friends do that lately. This fights apathy because you're creating, not just consuming content. So to summarize, structure will fight uncertainty, variety will fight apathy, and public work will fight feeling invisible. In terms of format, I knew signing up for an online class would not really work for me because I don't remember finishing an online course. Instead, I scheduled live calls with friends and used it as a trade. I'm really good at giving mock behavioral interviews for my friends. In return, for 30 minutes, my friends would teach me something technical or share a project that they're working on, so that helps me understand the industry that they're part of. I also borrowed books and read articles, not to become the perfect candidate, but to give myself a sense of growth that wasn't tied to whether I got an offer or not. So to the person who left this comment, I want to remind you that what you're feeling is not weakness. It's your brain trying to protect you, but you're still here asking for help, which is great because apathy hasn't won over you. You're still fighting. One simple action for today. Open your notes app on your phone and write this down. 3 external reasons from my last rejection that had nothing to do with my qualification. It could be things like they hired someone internally, the company froze hiring, the company went bankrupt. Can happen. AI filtered my resume, and role was already filled. The list could go on. Now, screenshot it. When you start spiraling about rejection, come back to it and remind you that these are external factors, not you. And finally, you're in a really hard chapter, and chapters end. I can't promise you a specific timeline or an outcome, but I can promise that you're not alone. And I generally believe some days will be hard for you to feel that. Show up in any whatever small way you can, and that will be just enough. Thank you for watching, and remember to come back to my next video topic on...
Let's go! It's time to be the GOAT. It's time to enter God mode, man, let's get it going. I wanna be the greatest, energy is overflowing. I know I'm stoking the fire, my desire's taking over.